Hello, good evening, and welcome back as we have gone over Labour and Brexit manifestos. And the run up to the Tory manifesto is coming out following the debates, which we all know were heavily favoured in for Labour's favour. The BBC audience was heavily Labour based. They've had the whole scandal about one member of the public actually being an actress, not saying whether or not she was paid to be there, and then interruptions like Corbyn being interrupted 11 times and Johnson being interrupted 45 times, not even close with things like that. And then people afterwards saying, oh, okay, so who do you think won the debate when it was taken down to the poll? Saying, yeah, it was definitely Johnson. I mean, he was able to strong-arm his way through despite the worst odds and didn't give up. So good on him. So with that in mind, what's he actually got down to put in his manifesto, at least according to the BBC? They say it's a £1 billion fund for wraparound childcare, after school and outside of term time. I'm against anything like this personally, because I'm all for children being able to be with their parents. That's the point of having a family anyway, not that you're then sat with strangers. Spending £6.3 billion on energy efficiency measures in homes. That is an actual investment. I would say that should be down more to the individuals, of course, because that is me. But that isn't like just doing a nice thing. That is actually something that, if you have to pay for it in the future, you might as well put in some costs now so that you don't have to pay as much in the future. And then that also ties into the green movement as well. So that is rather savvy, even though it isn't a very conservative thing. It makes sense and it's fair enough. A £2 billion fund to fill potholes. What we're seeing is the government are supposed to take care of the roads. Yep, that's what car tax does. The amount of car tax raises actually should cover much more than that. But nonetheless, at least get it done. Instead of, and we can get back to driving on the left instead of on what's left. A new national skills fund. This is of course toying with the idea of apprenticeships and free university tuition. Basically just to tell people that there are other options, so I endorse that. Then again, government funding, hardly ever a good idea. Providing free hospital car parking to protected groups. And this is people with disabilities, frequent patients, gravely ill people, family of long-stay patients, carers and NHS staff working night shifts, which will be apparently funded by £78 million a year. Instead of Labour, who would just give free parking across the board for everyone, that does run the risk of just turning the hospital into a car park and means there may not be spaces for people who need them most. So I understand this priority. Paying for it is obviously a way for people to not use it when they don't have to, and therefore it's just for the people who do really need it, but at least giving it to the people most in need. I understand that is a very compassionate view, and it isn't allowing people with ill intent to take advantage of it. So I actually think that's better than Labour's view, even in terms of if there was no cost to it. If they could just do it for free, I would say yes. The Tories are better than the Labour in here, and I do understand that sense of compassion, so good on you. And a ban on exporting plastic waste outside the OECD. So the idea being, of course, that you don't have any regulations on those countries, you don't know what they're going to do with it, and they're probably just going to burn it anyway. So it's taking more responsibility. Instead of saying, well, let's get rid of it, it's not our problem. It's saying, well, if we get rid of it to somebody who also doesn't think of it as their problem and they don't care what they do about it, then that can still be tracked back to us, and we want to have a better impact on the world instead of just saying, NIMBY, not in my backyard. In which case, that's understandable. Of course, it will then encourage more incentives, provide more incentives in order to not create so much plastic waste in the first place, and try and find other ways around it if you then have to deal with your own problems. So, taking responsibility for your own actions. Good plan, good man. And they also say the triple lock on taxes. So that's UK state pension and considering the older person's free bus pass. So, with that in mind, the triple tax lock in itself is that the rate of income tax, national insurance and VAT would not rise. Rate of income tax, that makes sense because it's a percentage. National insurance, yeah, sure, as a percentage, but it's supposed about the allowance, which is the old thing about a marginal tax rate. And VAT, again, is just a flat percentage. 20% at the moment, increased from 17.5% just a few years ago. So yes, I'm all for that as it's a percentage that if you don't raise, that does actually mean something. But of course, if it's a flat amount, then that doesn't mean nearly as much considering rates of inflation, which also wouldn't be such a big deal if we actually had a gold standard. But that of course means that the government can't make money, print money to get themselves out of their own problems. So let me know what you guys think down below of these key pledges, if they do make more sense, how they stack up to Labour and the Brexit Party. Always intrigued to hear you guys' opinions. If you're intrigued, I'm happy to battle them out amongst each other once we have them all nailed down to see what their plans are, and then what would make most sense given logical economic standpoints based primarily in the ideas of Thomas Sowell, of course. So do let me know. Thank you very much for watching, sharing, subscribing, all the good stuff, and until next time, have a good weekend.